Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today on the In the Shop series we've got a Yamaha APX-5LA electric acoustic guitar on the bench. And what's unique about it is it's a lefty, and today we're going to do a setup on it. Here we go.
We're silent guitars.
All right, guys, so here's the guitar. So today we're doing a setup on it. We already did a cleaning, so basically now we're going to put the strings on and start the setup on it. So a little bit about this guitar. Okay, it is a Yamaha APX-5LA. It's got a thin body, maybe about 3.5 inches wide, if you can see that from there. It's got a spruce top. The back and the sides, I believe, are Nato wood. Fingerboard is rosewood, and so is the saddle. Scale length is about 25 inches. It's got die-cast machine heads, and looks like that is a older style Yamaha System 46 preamp. Been around a long time, but it works really well. So guitar's pretty light. It's in good shape. The neck feels nice. So let's get started. So the first thing we do is we're going to oil the fretboard. Okay, and again I'm using some Dario, I guess, fretboard lemon oil. So we put this on here like this, and we just make sure we get it on every fret, that it's well covered. Try not to get any on the body, and it looks good. All right, so the first thing I normally do is I check the tuning heads. So some of the knobs here are loose, and we're going to check these ones. All right, so we got our tool here. So they seem pretty tight. Just give her a little nudge, hand tight. You don't want it too tight, but you don't want it loose so it vibrates. We're going to just tighten these guys here. This one's pretty loose. This one's okay. This guy's okay a little bit more. So before we put the strings on, we will take the truss rod cover off. We put the saddle back in here. Today we're going to be using some the Dario phosphorus bronze. These are EJ15s. And they are extra light, which are 1047. So all the Dario strings are color coordinated. So you see they all have a different color. So brass, red, purple, silver. All right, so we'll start with the low E for our D, green for the G. We've got purple for the B. And we've got the high E. So before I put the strings on, let's check what the fretboard looks like. So I have here, this is a fret ruler. Okay, so it just goes over the frets. Okay, and I can see already that there's definitely a bow in the neck. I don't know if we can see that here like this. There's some gap. Okay, so in order to give it some relief, okay, we're going to turn this counterclockwise, which means we're going to go this way. So that's going to put some relief. So whenever you're working on the guitar for the first time, it's got to be very easy pressure. If it seems really hard, don't put too much pressure. But again, I've done this a long time, and a lot of these guitars, you can tell in the condition that they're in. All right, so that looks good. So that's a starting point. So we'll readjust, because as we put the strings on, okay, there's going to be pressure on the neck to come back up. So it's going to create more gap. So every guitar is different, and every guitar, the neck has a different strength and therefore different flex. And it's going to, how much tension the strings go on is going to dictate how much pressure it's going to come back on here. Okay, so here's my first mistake. So this is a lefty guitar. and I basically rang the strings here like it's a righty. So we're gonna have to take that out and do that again. So the way I take the strings off, okay, is I basically use this pliers, okay, and I put my finger underneath my thumb, okay, and gently squeeze here without putting too much pressure, just to get it underneath, and they just pop out. Very easy like that. Okay, that way I don't do any damage to the guitar. Okay, so we'll just swap these. So E for the E. So I give them a little tug, okay, and just simulate putting some pressure on, and we should be good to go. Well, I normally start with the low E, but today we're going to start with the high E. So I like to line up the thread holes here so it lines up with the body. Put these in and give it, I don't know, I guess that's about 4 inches. So give it a little tug so I can just snap it in place. And the important part is to keep putting pressure. Okay, so once I slot it in, then I keep my hand here. Now you're using a drill, so if it's easy to over tighten. If you over tighten, you'll just snap the strings. So obviously I've done this a million times, so I know exactly when to stop. But you know, for you guys doing this for the first time, it's a little harder. So that 4 inches gives us about 2 winds on the tuning pin. And the reason you want less winds is it's going to have less play and therefore have better tuning stability. If you put too many winds in, there's just too much variation on the tuning peg, and it's just going to fight you to stay in tune. Okay, and I like to cut the strings, I guess about 1/4 inch, so that there's enough that it doesn't slip out, but at the same time, you don't want it too long that it gets caught on anything in your case or on your fingers, on your clothes. So it just makes it nice and simple. So now that we got that done, let's give her a tuning here. Okay, so again, I've got many of these, but we're using a Shark Super Tight. I like the red ones. They're really accurate and stable. Now what's funny is over the years, I've done this a long time, and like I get them pretty close just by ear, and I can get them, you know, like I'm not going too much on these ones, and they're already halfway there. All right, so once we got just easy tuning here. So we'll use this tool that I get from Stu Mac. It's called a stretcher. So you just give a little bit of stretching to the strings. So how this works is you just line this up with the strings here, just like this, and a little bit of pressure. Okay, and what that does is it just basically stretches the strings, so you can get a little bit more tuning stability. And it takes a couple of times of doing this so that the strings stay stable, but I like to do them twice for each. Okay, and then so you retune, so it's about a half step down. All right, we're looking good. So let's check what level the action's at. Okay, so we'll use this string action gauge from Nomad, and we'll have a look here. So we measure the action at the 12th fret. So I don't know if we can see that, but we are at, I guess, just between, at the 12th fret on the high E, between 1.75 and 2. And on an acoustic, that's considered very low action. So I'm anticipating this is going to have a little bit of buzz. Okay, and on the low E, we are sitting around 2.25, which I think is pretty good. So let's have a look. Let's play this guy. So I am not a lefty, so I'm just gonna have to go note by note here. So we don't seem to have any buzz anywhere, so that's really good. So I'm gonna do a check here and see what the fretboard looks like. So on the fretboard, we've got a little bit of gap. I don't know if we can see that in the camera. Okay, so I'm thinking we can go just a hair more. Okay, now obviously the lower the action, the better. Okay, so the action that's lower means that it's going to be easier to play and therefore more comfortable to play, and you want to play it more. So we can, okay, we're going to turn this clockwise, and I'm going to say like maybe a quarter turn clockwise, and we're going to be good. So a little bit here. I can use this tool to extend a little bit. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Give that a measure again. Yeah, so now we're sitting between 1.5 and 1.75 on the high E, and just above 2 on the low E. So let's give that a whirl and see if we get any buzz anywhere. Yeah, I really like that. That sounds pretty good. So we're gonna check this again. Okay, so checking this again. Now we've got very, very little gap in there. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, but it's a much, almost no gap all the way along. Feels comfortable. Okay. Another thing, we're going to check the intonation. So there's not a whole lot we can do for intonation on an acoustic guitar, especially one with a saddle that's kind of flush here. So intonation is basically, you want to have the E, it's got to be in tune for the whole length as it is for the, I don't know if we can see that. And that's pretty spot on. All right, that looks good. All right, so one last thing we're gonna do, okay, is plug her in and just see if we've got anything wrong with the electronics. Get some volume here. Ah, sounds good. Yeah, that sounds nice. All right. Well, hey guys, so that's it for this video. So thanks for joining us, and if you like these videos, hit the subscribe button here below, and stay tuned for some more great videos. Until next time, keep rocking, keep playing. This is Dom from West Island Guitars. Peace out. It's a lefty, so I can't play a lefty, but well, that looks pretty good.